Chapter 2, Lesson 1, Building Health Skills. This lesson, we're going to take a look at the different skills that we all have and continually need to work on in order to really take control of the things we do every day and ultimately take control of our health. We want to give you as students the ability to identify the strengths and weaknesses in who you are and be able to work on and improve certain areas of your life. So let's go ahead and identify and define what health skills are. Health skills are specific tools and strategies to maintain, protect, and improve all aspects of your health. They're also called life skills. These are things that you don't have to necessarily learn in a health class. These are things that oftentimes are folded into a lot of different classes you take in high school, middle school, and certainly that you could work on in college or in the workforce beyond. We're going to discuss communication, refusal skills, conflict resolution, accessing information, analyzing influences, practicing healthful behaviors, stress management, advocacy, decision making, and goal setting. All very important, all things that most of us do on a daily or a weekly basis and can always find areas to improve and to work on. We'll start with communication skills. Certainly very important in terms of how people relate to one another. We certainly could call this part of a social health realm that certainly could leak into a little bit of the mental and emotional health just based on the interactions that you have with those in your social circle. You know, communication is more than just talking. We certainly know there's body language, and we know that nowadays with text messaging, email, Twitter, Facebook, there are a lot of different ways to send a message to a person that can be both positive and negative. It's a combination of both interpersonal communication, refusal skills, and conflict resolution. Interpersonal communication is the exchange of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs between two or more people. It helps build strong relationships with others. This is just what we do with the people around us. You do this every day. You do this on an hourly basis, depending on who you come in contact with. Refusal skills are equally important. They're the communication strategies that can help you say no when you're urged to take part in behaviors that are unsafe or unhealthful and go against your values. And we'll talk about that here a little bit next in the next slide. But you need to be able to say no in a way that reflects the way you feel about the situation. Yeah, you might not want to do drugs, but how do you say no but maintain the relationship with the person who may be a friend or a family member? Conflict resolution is the process of ending a conflict through cooperation and problem solving. You know, when we get mad, we can't just physically hurt somebody. We can't throw a punch every time. We need to be able to manage our emotions as well as protect the communication and the relationship with the person who we may at that particular moment not be getting along with. You think of a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a husband and wife, or two best friends, when they fight, it may be a short-lived or short-term argument that eventually they're going to get over, but we want to be able to not say or do things that are going to disrupt the longevity of that relationship. Take a look at this list of refusal skills. I don't expect anybody to be in a position where you're asked to do something you don't want to think back to this list, but many times we do these things without even thinking about it. Be able to say no in a firm voice, it's just sticking to your guns and showing that you're confident with your decision. If you show any waffling in the question that's being asked, somebody asks you to do drugs or drink alcohol, and you seem unsure, they're probably going to stay on you and continue to pester you and pursue the answer that they're looking for. If you can explain why, state your feelings, give alternatives in terms of things that you would rather do, chances are the other person's going to realize that, hey, you seemingly have made up a decision in your mind and you're going to stick with it. And that's part of that goes with standing your ground. You got to make it clear that you don't intend to back down from your position. You're not going to be persuaded to do something that, again, compromises the way you feel and the values that you have. And if you need to, get out of there. That's leaving if necessary. We don't want to stay in a position, even if it is friends or family, that are going to make you uncomfortable or ultimately have you do something you're not comfortable with. The next health skill is accessing information, and this is an incredibly important one for anybody to learn at the middle school, high school level, where you become able to look up information or determine if information that you are reading is important, relevant, or even reliable, good information that may or may not pertain to you. It's knowing how to find and evaluate health information that will help you make decisions that benefit your well-being. If you ever gone on Google or a web search and looked up something about your body, something about health in general, that's what we're talking about. You know, I'm sure we all know somebody who every ache or pain they get, they type it into the computer to see if they're suffering from some illness or disease. That's accessing information. We want to be able to do that for our own bodies. We call that health literacy. Now, if you find a website that has a bunch of goofy icons on it and it looks like it's made by a third grader or middle school kid, you're going to probably, you're going to question that website. You're going to think maybe I should find a better reliable site, in which you do. And that part of that is a comparison process, which is incredibly important as well. Some valid sources include healthcare providers or professionals, certainly could be doctors or hospitals. We know there are valid internet sites such as government agencies or professional health organizations. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has a very good website. The Mayo Clinic has a very good website. Parents, guardians, and other trusted adults. Some people just have answers that we may not, and that includes us as health teachers or as adults. We don't always have the answers. And certainly recently published material written by well-known science and health professionals. There are articles on CNN.com and the Star Tribune on the news of new health information that's really good and worth listening to. A quick writing activity that you could do here on your own, or at least something to think about in your own head, is we need to analyze the influences on what makes us make the decisions we do in our own health. Basically, why do we do the things that we do? Why do you eat the foods that you do? What activities are you involved in? What helps you make those choices? You might say, I like them, but why do you like them? Are there friends involved? Does it taste good? You have to be able to look at the decisions you make and ultimately determine if they're good or bad. I'd like you to take a minute and think about what affects your health. Maybe come up with 2 or 3 ideas right now and start to think a little bit more critically about where these decisions come from and how you got there. Self-management skills are next on our list, and again, you're going to hear us talk about throughout this health class taking control of your own health and making your own decisions, and it's something that you want. I think most high school students don't want to rely on their parents or some adult in their life or guardian to make all their decisions for them, but we also have to make good decisions and understand that there are consequences, both positive and negative, for the things that we do. We want to promote good well-being, but we have to do that through practicing healthful behaviors, doing good positive things like eating well and exercising, and in managing our stress. We're going to have days where things just aren't going the way they should, and we need to be able to manage our emotions, which is certainly something we're going to talk about in Unit 2 coming up. Let's talk a little bit here about stress, at least managing it. Again, we're going to spend more time on this in Unit 2, but it's important to identify that we all do experience stress. Stress is the reaction of the body and mind to everyday challenges and demands. When I think of stress, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Stress can be worry, stress can be fear, stress can be excitement, or it could be kind of a combination of all those things. You may be excited to take your driver's test, but be nervous and worried about it at the same time. There's a lot of things that start to add up in the teenage years that probably aren't going to go away for the rest of your life. We're talking about school, teachers, tests, relationships, family, work, chores, pets, future, college, career, kids, house, money, you name it. Stress is normal, but too much can lead to illness, and we got to be able to step away from the stressful situation and find things that help us relax. And again, those are things that we're going to cover in Unit 2. We're certainly going to spend some time talking about managing stress and finding ways that you yourself can personally step away from it.